Example 5. The graph shows the number of miles a helicopter is from its destination after X hours on its first flight. On its second flight, the helicopter travels 50 miles further and increases its speed by 25 miles per hour. The function f of x equals 350 minus 125x represents the second flight, where f of x is the number of miles the helicopter is from its destination after x hours. Which flight takes less time? Explain. So I'm going to start with the first flight because we have a graph down here, and it wants to know which flight takes less time. Well, that means to reach its destination. So if we look at our graph, this is the distance in miles to our destination. So at the moment, if we're up here, the plane is 300 miles from where it wants to go. If it's right here, now it's 200 miles from where it wants to go. If it's right here, it's 100 miles from where it wants to go. And if it's right here, it's 0 miles from where it wants to go. Well, let's think about that. It was 300, then 200, so that got smaller. Then it was 100, then it was 0, meaning it's getting closer and closer and closer until it finally gets there. So right here, when it's 0 miles from where it wants to go, it has reached its destination. So then the question is, how long did it take it to reach its destination? Well, that's where our x-axis comes into play. It took 3 hours. So after 3 hours, the first flight has reached its destination. Now we have to look at the second flight. So second flight. Now the second flight, we don't have a graph, but we do have a function. So they gave us this function f of x equals 350 minus 125x. And we want to know, how long does it take for this flight to reach its destination? Well, if I come over here and look at the graph here, this point represented when it had reached its destination. So do you notice that this point is the x-intercept? So if the x-intercept is going to tell me when the flight has reached its destination, really what I want to find over here is I want to find the x-intercept. Do we remember how to do that? So in order to find the x-intercept, you kind of do the opposite, and we're going to substitute a 0 in for y. Well, which part of this function up here is y? And that's right here. That's your y. So we're going to say 0 equals 350 minus 125x. This will tell me when this hits my x-axis, which will give me my x value, which will tell me how long it took to reach the destination. Just like over here, this was my x value, and that tells me how long it's going to take to reach my destination. In order to solve this, I'm going to add 125x. So that's going to give us 125x equals 350. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 125. When I get that answer, I'm going to convert it into a decimal, which is going to give me 2.8. This is a story problem, so I'm going to put a unit on it, which is 2.8 hours. So notice they said that our second flight actually increased its speed by 25 miles per hour. It did travel 50 miles further, but I guess increasing its speed by 25 miles per hour actually made it reach its destination quicker. So which flight takes less time? The second flight. So your answer here would be the second flight takes less time because 2.8 hours is less than 3 hours.